Hey everybody, this is Mike Dooley and we're just getting ready. Got about 3 or 4 minutes to go. I'm just making sure all is well. This is chapter 1, of course, of the Life Mastery program. I'm going to share the screen here and see how this goes. Yep, you're in the right place. Mike Dooley here. And we are about to get going. Jambo, fellow adventurers, this is Mike Dooley, following a big day in my life that you made possible, and in gratitude for your purchasing the book, which is why we're gathered here now. I'm going to spend the next 9 days going one chapter at a time through a masterclass, giving you extra material that's not even in the book, that'll probably be in my next book. But welcome to the Life on Earth Masterclass. If you haven't guessed already, I am Mike Dooley, and it is a thrill to be delivering this. A couple of things I want to say at the outset. First and foremost, everything will be recorded, okay, including tonight's. So you can revisit it if you like. If in the next 9 days, which does run through the weekend, you can't make an event, within 24 hours of that broadcast, the recording of that broadcast will be made available. Other points of protocol, ideally you will not be sharing this with people who have not bought the book. I'll let you call the shots there. Maybe they're in dire need of something you heard, then by all means share it. But generally speaking, you know, the small token of admission for this, you know, 9-day long masterclass is that you participate or have the courage and conviction to get a life on Earth. I'm going to be letting these classes run about 20 to 30 minutes each, and then I will always tack on about 10 minutes, give or take, for questions and answers. So some of you are new to this Zoom format. Welcome. It's pretty cool. I think you're going to like it. You'll notice as you scan the screen in front of you that there should be a little icon for Q&A, that's questions and answers. If a question comes to mind, while you read the book on your own. Perhaps some of you will read a chapter in advance to prepare for the next day's class or that evening's class. Or if a question comes to mind while I'm presenting this material, definitely jot it down. I will not be looking at that little tab until the Q&A session, so you won't be able to message me that way. But when it comes to the final 10 or so minutes of each masterclass, I will then go to those questions that have been typed out in Q&A. And we did receive a few questions today by email. I have copies of those, and I expect to be able to begin with those questions. But in the future, beyond today, don't email your questions. Save them for the little panel here so that I can ask those who are participating live, again, as a gift to you all, your way of exchanging energy with me right now. I'll forego my bio. It's at tut.com. I want to get straight into the material, straight into the masterclass. And today I'll be talking to you about the introduction and chapter 1. I'm going to be sharing a lot of direct material from the book, but I aim to make this a bit more of a book, more conversational, more room for ad-libbing and for kind of spontaneity on my behalf, ensuring that you get information that complements the book, and it's not just me reading the book to you, because you don't need that. You can read it to yourself. But again, I think it's a good idea to perhaps read the chapter of the session before we get there, so you are as well versed as possible in what's going on and primed to ask any great questions you might have to ask. So I do see that there's an ability to chat and raise hands. I will not be able to look at that, although your fellow participants, numbering in the thousands, ultimately will be able to look at that. So you might chat back and forth to one another, have at it. But I will not be able to look at raised hands. I'll just look at the Q&A panel only during the appropriate part of the program there. So what do we have here? Life on Earth, understanding who we are, how we got here, and what may lie ahead. And so the gist of this thing is parallel to the gist of the Notes from the Universe and all that I share in all of my other works, but of course here, tons of new material. The gist is that life is the ultimate knowable, and that it is our highest responsibility to ask the hard questions. They're not even that complicated. You know, who am I? Why am I here? What can I do with my time and space? If we don't ask those questions, then we abdicate. And instead of just abdicating in a void, because there's 7 billion co-creators in the world, invariably abdication from asking and trying to answer those questions means you're going to end up living your life based on other people's answers. I do not want to be giving you the answers myself. I'm going to give you some thoughts and some dots to connect so that you can discern whether or not what I'm saying resonates with you, sounds like truth, or flush it down the toilet. But if you don't like my ideas, find ideas you do like. And the suggestion from this book, as you'll see how it unfolds, is that you go within. Okay, you don't have to only go within. Be a cherry picker in the world around you. I cherry picked the Bible, you know, when I was a Catholic. If I found something that I resonated with, I ran with it, I loved it, I owned it. Believe and ye shall receive. The story of the prodigal child, you know, in an instant, your entire inheritance can be restored. I like that stuff. You know, as far as, you know, what you should do on what day of the week and what you must never do on another day of the week, and burning a bull at the altar and smiting your neighbors, you know, forget it. I believe it was tainted by men, and probably men, over the millennia. And, you know, you need to discern what makes sense. And here you need to discern what makes sense in what I share, and use the tools I offer to go within and come up with your own answers until you find peace and resonance. And the answers that you're going to get in this book and in your journey with your questions will reveal who you are and how you got here, and a whole lot more, because those are absolutes. Okay, it's not kind of like everyone has their own truth. I find that so irritating when someone has this passive, you know, altruistic, I serve other people, everyone has their own truth. There goes all of your power. The truth is the truth is the truth is the truth. It is absolute. There are an infinite number of roads to Rome, but none of those roads changes Rome. And there are an infinite number of pathways to truth, but there are not an infinite number of different truths. So, with this notion, this premise that there are answers and that they are knowable and that they are benign, empowering, friendly, something to just give a huge woohoo happy dance over, then you will be on a mission, a beeline to summoning them to you as I have summoned some of the most amazing epiphanies of my life by asking big questions and having a basis, a foundation for knowing who I am. The eyes and the ears of God Almighty and yada, yada, yada will go through some of what I've deduced and what I trust will resonate with you. But the platform of the book, as is true, the platform of this masterclass is that life is the ultimate knowable. But did you notice when I was pointing out the subtitle, I said the first two prongs of the three prongs are absolute, knowable, bankable. The truth is the same for you, for me, and 7 billion other people, and 100 billion that came before us. Absolute, crystal clear, objective, yes or no. But I skipped the third prong. What may lie ahead? You know, if everything was absolute, as far as the subjective journey, if everything was predestined, if everything was already known, and no, I do not believe all things are known. Often that question comes up, that's a tangent, maybe I'll get back to it. Then there would be very little point in being here. It would be like, you know, we're just reading the script that we were destined to say, that was written 1 billion years ago in the mind of divine intelligence. It's like, get out of here. Infinite possibilities, infinite probabilities exist for the fruition of our lives. And then you've got 7 billion co-creators and God knows how many other co-creators on other planets that have the ability to interact with our planets, and it becomes very unwieldy. Infinite is not just theoretical. It is infinite. It is unending. It is never ending. And, however, the exciting, juicy part is that we all have a role, a role to play, a hand in the mix, so to speak, as to how the jungles of time and space will unfold from here. So what happens tomorrow is not set in stone, not in a global sense, not in a galactic sense, not in the sense of your own private adventures in life. Anything can happen, although there are probabilities that point to extreme likelihoods. We can change those probabilities, and that's a discussion for another book. In fact, I already did infinite probabilities in my book, Leveraging the Universe, 7 Steps to Engaging the Magic. But I'm going to give you what you need to know. You don't have to go out and buy any other books, but I'm not going to rehash too much of my old material. So there are an infinite number of possibilities, a lesser number of probabilities, but there's still infinite probabilities as to what might happen in your life tomorrow, what phone calls you might get, what phone calls won't come, emails that you'll get that you won't get, epiphanies that you might all of a sudden summon, confidence that might come from the ether or not, or no creativity, or this is hinging, dependent upon you. This is about what may happen tomorrow, what may happen to the collective, what may happen in the world with currencies and Brexit and Donald Trump and Italy and the Philippines, and where all of a sudden we're seeing new leaders emerge that have a different world view, if you will, of the prior world leaders. Not to say one's better or the other, but to realize that truly the spice of life is that we are now deciding on the fly, combined with, of course, the momentum we brought from other lifetimes, which does not mean we are vulnerable to such baggage or gold medals from prior lifetimes. We write the script on the fly. And we're going to be talking about writing the script. We're going to be talking about which buttons to press and which levers to pull during this master class. And you're going to find all these answers as well in Life on Earth. But there was, you probably can imagine, sometimes a day will go into discerning what the ultimate subtitle will be to a book. You know, it's like a note from the universe. You read them and you think, wow, that was really easy. That was really quick. Mike Dooley must have fun writing those notes from the universe. He must be a cool cat. So I hear people say. They wouldn't be so impressed if they knew that some take hours, some have taken a day. And I always have a file of about 200 unfinished ones. So it's mighty work. And the point is, a lot of thought goes into literally the placement and positioning and emphasis on every word in a book, including the subtitle. Now you know the meaning behind all of this, because this speaks to knowing the truth and then applying the truth. And that's what this masterclass is about. And as the introduction concludes, basically, I'm not trying to set out and share a new religion. Although I was afraid some people might think that as I was writing this book, and I was dissing some religions, not too much by name, but just, you know, the whole idea of old stories and living your life by printed words that are thousands of years old. It's like, get over the story, man. So anyway, I'm not starting a new religion. This book comes with no rules, no to-dos, no musts, no mustn'ts. Kick it down the path, give it to a friend, throw it in the fireplace and roast marshmallows with it. There's no agenda here, other than what I view to be the sharing of some flipping, incredibly good news. That's the entirety of Life on Earth. So, the origins of this book, because you're going to ask, just as people did with my last book, The Top 10 Things Dead People Want to Tell You. They're going to be like, how do you know what dead people want to tell you? It's like, it's common sense, intellect, intuition. How do you know, Mike Dooley, what karma is and isn't, and angels and the power of prayer, etc. I have been asking questions about the nature of reality since I was a teenager, and today I am 55 years young, and asking huge questions, as have you been asking huge questions. I am not remotely unique in that way. I may be slightly unique in that those questions sometimes had me doubled over in pain. Literally, by the time I was a freshman in college, it's just like, what gives? Why the hell are we here? I mean, everybody dies and they're gone forever, from Mahatma Gandhi to Jesus Christ to the crook to the villain. I mean, you know, there's got to be a reason we're here, but it certainly doesn't seem evident. Lo and behold, the pitch in my yearning and almost, not grief, but desperation to find the answers, that emotional tag to those thoughts and questions summoned answers. And the answers I got came in the most unusual of ways, almost invariably, imperceptibly. So actually, I don't even know how they came. It was like one day I had these questions that had me doubled over in pain, and 4 months later, I was like, duh, of course, with confidence. And anybody can and should get to that place, and they would naturally do that if we had been told anything other than life is hard and people are mean and some things aren't to be known. They need to be left in the hands of God. You're here to pay service to the Almighty and live selflessly for the needs of others, during which you will be tested, judged, and ultimately, upon the day of your death, sentenced. And it's like, so you can see the pain I was in. And lo and behold, the answers came. And this developed a practice where I would literally write down questions. If you're familiar with Neil Donald Walsh, he's done the same thing, although he gets rapid fire answers. Well, it's called automatic writing. It's automatic for Neil. It's not automatic for me. It's like, okay, you know, go off and finish a semester and come back and see if you've got some answers. And I would. Stunning answers, thrilling answers, answers answers I had with confidence, not just an answer that might be true, that might not be true, but an answer that had legs under the table. And so to a degree, the answer is I channel. And so I do that for Notes from the Universe. And so have I been doing it right now. And so have you been doing it all day long. And I'm not saying this to diminish the quality of my channeling or to make light of channeling, but to invite you to do the same. You have a direct pipeline to source knowledge with regard to why you have or haven't been seeing the expected turn of events in your life that you've been wanting or trying to avoid, why there have been patterns or loops, whether or not there are aliens, why there were secret societies and what their stupid secrets were. You have the answer to go within and do all of this. And I say in the book, you don't need me to give you the answers that are in here. Neither do you need Roger Federer to teach you how to play tennis or Celine Dion to teach you how to sing, but these folks have mastered it. And I'm not saying I'm the Roger Federer of philosophical insights on truth to the nature of reality. No, when it comes to answering the hard questions about who we are, how we got here, and what we can do with our time and space, it's a lot easier to get answers than to win international championships and to belt out songs like Mariah Carey or all the good singers. So you don't need me for any of this masterclass. But when you can get a leg up, get a leg up. Like I said, I'm a big cherry picker. And though I don't like to read, I have Neil Donald Walsh, I have Ramtha, I have Seth, I have my favorites. They're listed in the back of all of my books, my top 14 favorite books in the world that have fueled my fire and given me traction. And I urge you, every one of you, and this is where I am now, awaken to the fact that you have a pipeline to truth, a truth that carries with it unfathomable love, confidence, inspiration, bright ideas. Whatever your heart now longs for, you know how to get to it. Just go within and do it through meditation, sitting on a cliff in silence for days, or do it with a long walk and a cigar, or watching the waves roll in, or listening to Beethoven or Kanye West. There's no one way to do this, okay? And most of my answers through this pipeline do not come when I'm trying to get them through meditation, an art I have not perfected. But that's kind of the gist of this, and the question must be, what will you find if you go within? You will find that we are truly, and I give you props and levers and steps to take in this book, but I'm going to cut to some of that because I'm going to let you read that for yourself. But you will ultimately find, I trust, answers that resonate with you to the degree that the cells in your body begin to sing and you can't even hold yourself down from a happy dance and a woohoo, man. You're going to find that we all are literally the eyes and the ears of God Almighty come alive in the dream of life. We're here by choice. We knew what we were doing. The amnesia we now have is self-imposed. It's serving awesome purposes. I've shared that in my Dead People book, but just trust that it is. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But prior to the amnesia, when you chose to be here, that you were at the zenith of your brilliance, and there you knew what you were doing, and there you saw the landscape of eternity, all the planets, all the dimensions, all the friends, all the foes, where you'd most like to go and where you would never go. And there was one place that you most wanted to go from the Godhead of your being, and that was here on planet Earth right now, being who you are. You custom designed your rocking self. Every freckle, every blemish, every strength, every weakness, who your parents were, who they were not, the love you received, the love you didn't get, the guidance you didn't get, was by your meticulous choice. Why? I don't know. But from there, you had the purveyance of eternity, and you knew what you were doing, and you wouldn't have chosen to come here if it wasn't filled with loving, beautiful, empowering, awesome reasons that would yield fun and joy in this lifetime. If you haven't had it yet, it's on its way. And more, add to your essence beyond this lifetime, because we all have eternity. That's what you're going to find. You're going to find that your thoughts become things, that your words give you wings, that you're pushed onto greatness every day. You're going to find that it's as if, given your divine heritage, that your positive thoughts are 10,000 times more powerful than your negative thoughts. And some of this is in my earlier works, but the truth is the truth. So I can't reinvent a truth to kick off a masterclass or write a new book. You're going to find that when you say things like, I'm awesome, I love my life, I'm powerful, I'll figure that out. I have total clarity. Everything I touch turns to gold. It's like, well, yeah, you're this eternal giant tidal wave of love and joy who brought you here. And you came here to totally rock and roll with default settings through the roof in a safe world where you would be untouchable by others unless you give them permission to enter your realm. And we'll be talking about child abuse and things like that. There's lots of tangents coming up in this masterclass subsequent to today's first delivery. You're going to find that it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you've been, that tomorrow the best is yet to come. And that you don't even have to know how you got to where you are today to otherwise know how to bust a move and go forward, which is my story 16 years ago when my life was one big hot mess. I didn't know how I got there, and it hurt me too much to think about it. And if I looked for what was wrong with me, I would have found it. Instead, I knew how life worked. I knew the absolutes that this book lays out, as you have already sensed the absolutes. And so I just started working it and working it and working it in spite of nothing to my dreams showing up. Nothing changed in my life, but I kept working at it. And I didn't say, well, there must be something wrong with me. I didn't say, what am I missing? I was like, I know how this works. I know how I am, who I am, and I'm gonna make this work. And I kept taking massive action, with the prerequisite hobbies and vacations and things that I could manage on my terrified shoestring budget. And lo and behold, I found that the yellow brick road found me, and my life has exceeded my wildest dreams 16 years ago. And there was never anything wrong with me 16 years ago. I only thought through the commotion and the changing of the track on the changing of tracks that my train took, that I was a fool. But I wasn't a fool. It was the beginning of the biggest dream of my life coming true and going beyond. That's what you're going to find when you drill down and answer the questions. And let me give you one of the biggest lines that's in this book about knowing what I know. And for the notes, for the Dead People book, for Life on Earth, it's like, man, I fess up in all of my work. I know very, very, very little about very, 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 very little, okay? And I just came up with this analogy that I'm going to share in a future note from the universe. You heard it here first. It's like we're all fish in a fishbowl, okay? Let's just imagine our fishbowl has a universe of 100 billion galaxies. So this is a big fishbowl, okay? This is not a little bowl. This is, a 2,000-gallon aquarium. Okay, imagine fish in a beautifully decorated, horticulturally landscaped with aquatic vegetation, 20,000-gallon aquarium. Only the wisest of those little fishies, the wisest, would have a sense that basically they can't know crap about the nature of reality in their little fish tank. Most of the fish in that tank don't even know they're in a fish tank, okay? It's reality to them. And every day they have to swim to the surface and get their food before it's all gone, okay? We're like those little fish, and most people don't even stop to realize that there's so much more that we can perceive and deduce and arrive at in terms of confidence that will give us traction and leverage. So only a few of the wisest little fishies will realize that it's totally foolhardy to make sweeping judgments on the nature of reality from inside that tank. And I'm saying that's true here in our tank, these jungles of time and space. Only a fool would think they could know all things about all things within the jungles of time and space. But then going back to the analogy of the fish tank, amongst the wisest fish, there would be a very small segment of the wisest fish. Only a few of them would then be able to take the next leap and realize that while they could not fathom the nature of reality from within their fish tank, they could still connect enough dots to live a rocking, happy, joyful life. They could figure out when the feeding times were. They could realize that there was a source above them, monitoring them, loving them, providing for them, monitoring the temperature, making sure there was enough food for all the fishies. They could find the warm spots in the cold fish tank or the cool spots in the hot fish tank, depending on where the sun was that day shining on it. They could find some friends that they resonate with, and they could find some that they don't resonate with. They could find amongst the aquatic vegetation that which is pleasing to them and that which is not pleasing to them. They could still find out enough about the nature of life within their fish tank to get it on, man, to fall in love, to be loved as well. And that's exactly my premise throughout. I don't know crap about crap, man, but I do know enough, and you can know enough, and you are on the cusp of it, I trust. I know you've got the book in your hands or on the way, where you can know enough to live a happy, rocking, joyful life in confidence, creative, surrounded by friends, a life of your wildest dreams, and so far beyond. Let me see how we're doing with time. We're doing great. I wanted to touch on some of the tangents I promised in the marketing, and then I'm going to take your questions. I realize we're at 28 minutes right now. Secret societies, I've already hit on that. I gather and I sense, and this is what my answer was here. I'm not going to second guess my answers in the book. You're going to get there and you can do that yourself. Secret societies arose at a time when if you didn't believe as the masses, they would kill you. They would burn you at the stake. You were a heathen, you were a pagan, you were a nutcase. You gave no power and no gold coins to the royalty, to the church, whatever. If you spoke your mind based on what you deduced and what you observed in this giant fishbowl of ours, they'd kill you. You wouldn't get a job. You'd be shunned. You'd be ostracized. They'd make you leave the village. You'd starve in the wilderness. Okay, so can you imagine, because they could do it just as you and I are doing it, going within and realizing the miracles everywhere, the love that sustains us. I mean, the fact that we are creators through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. There were wise men, perhaps Da Vinci among them, that were not only good with the arts and engineering, but who figured out the absolutes of life that are so simple. And they realized that they couldn't speak about this without getting killed. And so they found their friends, birds of a feather, flocked together like you and I, and the thousands now online. How many are you online? About 1,000 people, 888. Many more are going to be watching this. 5,000 to 10,000 people have enrolled. So most people are watching this in the recording. They would gather and talk about what must be true, because it feels so good to talk about the truth when everyone's saying that we're being tested in a cold, cruel world. And they had to go underground, and they had to maintain secrets. I got that secret societies were formed by people who were lit up by the truths that are so available to everyone. And so they went underground and they devised secret handshakes so that they knew that they could talk about what to who without being persecuted. They knew who was really a friend or perhaps a newcomer that might be a spy. And they had all kinds of deviations to save their lives. And so generations go by, millennia go by. And now, the same thing that happened with most religions, the wrong people got into the wrong place, got power hungry, and while these secrets were originally meant to go underground and cultivate them and hone them and build upon them until it was safe to go up and share them with the masses without risking your life, by the time that it became safe to bring them out, which is mostly the case the world over, some quarters of the world you might get killed for your thoughts, the answers got so diluted and so hijacked by power-hungry men. Why do guys always do this? That now they have forgotten, my take on this, my answer that I got in the book, they have forgotten the very secrets that organized them, and they've turned them into groups of Christianity or this or that or the other, and they have lost their secrets, but they still claim to be a secret society. Why? Because they can have an edge on the rest of the world. They've completely lost their whole focus. Karma, it is not an absolute law. It is a phenomenon. I talked about this in Dead People. I talk about it briefly in Life on Earth. It does not take your power away. It does not matter if you were an evil pirate in the last century, okay? You're still good to go, and you can live your life in the sun, in abundance, surrounded by love this lifetime. It is not absolute. If it was, there'd be a scorecard, and that scorecard would intervene with the freedom of your thoughts becoming the things and events of your life. So need not worry that karma could ever hold you back. You are off that loop. Get the lingo through enlightenment, understanding the nature of reality. Prayer, it is powerful not because God's listening and said, oh, I'm glad you appreciate that. There is no God out there, as this book talks about. There's a God in here, and there is a God, oh my gosh. You are it, and so am I, particles of that God. Prayer is focused, intended talk. Prayer that ends in question marks is not nearly as powerful as prayer that ends in so be it, or the word amen, as in hell yeah. There's no hell, there's no devil. Fiction, the book talks about it. Prophets, they were wise, tuned-in people that were not sent by God, but they had not finished their journeys and lessons in time and space, yet they yearned, as many of us do, to share and shout from the rooftops how awesome life is. And so their yearning to do that was coupled by collective yearning of help, we're totally lost. And so this met together. And that's why prophets appear at dark times, because the prophets needed the darkness as the dark folks, people in the dark, needed the prophets. And so, it's thoughts becoming things every single way. There's no divine intervention in life other than your own. And that is divine. Angels, every conscious being is an angel. But yes, they also exist to a degree, as are chronicled in the holy books. Beings that are here because they love us and they guide us, that have never incarnated. Their sole purpose is taking care of us. But they cannot live our lives for us. And they're telling you all the time by whispering in your ear that you're not alone, that you're loved, that you're being pushed on to greatness. And they can help by helping you get clear in your thoughts. They're there. And so I'll let you read the rest. Let me go to some of the questions right now that were so good, so that I do not run out of time. Summarize this one I've read already. Ellen, I'm so sorry. You've lost a child 3 years ago at 36 weeks, a terrible accident. I can't imagine you're grieving. As you probably know, I have finally become a dad 3 years ago, almost. And what can I say to you except that there was order. There was purpose, there was meaning, there was love, and there shall be healing. And just as my little train wreck 16 years ago baffled my mind, certainly you must be baffled. Ellen, know that there was order, and that this was not you creating your reality. This goes way beyond that. This was Ellen creating her own reality, but not because of mortal thoughts you chose this lifetime. And there's so many tangents here. I wish I could write a book on it. Maybe I will one day. But I want you to know, when things like this hurt so much, you don't even try to understand. Just know that love was involved, and your son would not have left if he wasn't ready. And he did not choose this lifetime blind or oblivious to the fact that this may likely happen, because we all choose lifetimes with probabilities. And there was a strong probability that this would happen, and you chose to have him come to your life knowing of this probability. And so the gifts were exchanged. You gave him his, he gave you yours, and the gifts are still being exchanged. I just wish I could give you a big hug. I can hardly fathom what you've been through, but I know that it's a beautiful world, and you know that. And I know that your son is alive, and I know that he is pressing out these ideas that I'm sharing with you through me and through any vehicle he can. And he's like, Mom, I'm okay. Mom, this is what we agreed to. Mom, there are reasons, and you'll soon get to know them. Be happy, Mom. You still have the best of your life ahead of you. You haven't lost me. You can talk to me every single day, and we're going to get to that rainbow in the sky, and we'll talk about this, and we'll understand. And I promise that day is coming, and I promise you can feel it and know these truths right now. And perhaps to grease the wheels, look forward, Ellen. Look forward. The best is yet to come. And think not that you're forgetting your son. He wants you to be happy, and you're going to get there faster by looking forward and enjoying every sweet day that you still have, that we all still have. So long ago, after I experienced a near-death experience, a shift happened to me, and my question now is how to maintain that peaceful, happy place while in the jungles of time and space. This is the challenge we all have, and you got this great gift of seeing where all the departed go and where you came from, and it was from there that you said, I want to go to that moody, fickle place where people can't get clear, and it seems that bad stuff happens for no good reason. I want that challenge. And so it's not a demerit or a bad thing that this is happening in our lives right now, that we see chaos in the world. We chose to be born during primitive times, spiritually speaking, for the adventure of it. And so how do you get that place and return to that? Solongo, I would suggest meditation. I would suggest music. I would suggest time with a pet or a beloved. I would suggest ditching some of the to-do lists and stop being a micromanager of your life, and see that peace envelops you right now. Because as much love and clarity as exists on the other side, it exists here. And it's not the noise of the world that keeps it from us, it's the noise that we're putting out there. So this is an inner muscle, Solongo, that you have been invited to adapt and to develop. And as you do, let others in on your success and be a teacher. Okay, Alia Joy, where are the boundaries? Everything is not black and white. The truth is black and white. Our adventures through the truth is subjective and is not black and white. I want to know about the gray area. We are co-creators, and the gray area will rob you blind of your power. There's no gray area. I'm jumping ahead of your question. We are all co-creators in time and space on Earth. How are we limited or bound by the collective thoughts as they become things? We saw the collective thoughts, and they were right in line. The probabilities they created were right in line with what we wanted to experience. So we jumped in. We're not here now having to deal with the collective thoughts. We're here now where we wanted to be, because the collective thoughts were similar to our own thoughts. And the collective thoughts, while they help set the stage, and there's 7 billion co-creators of planet Earth and the weather, there's only one creator of your joy, your happiness, your levels of abundance. That's so key. When the word co-creator comes up, and this is your question, and it's a really good question, because I used to believe in the gray areas. We feel like, well, how can I create my life when there's 7 billion co-creators? It's like the 7 billion co-creators create the planet, a planet that we knew we were getting involved, what we were getting involved with. Now you have absolutes to deal with to carve your happiness and find your traction within this. Okay, and then let me look at a couple of live questions. We're going to go over a little 40 minutes, and then I'm not going to charge you a thing, okay? Let me find my online chalkboard. Oh, there's only 36 Q&As, and I'm going to get to 1 or 2 of them. Randomly here, Layla, if we come back in life to serve a purpose, how come we don't remember anything from our past life and therefore do not remember what our purpose was supposed to be? Oh, that is so awesome question. That is so you could ask me today, not. The purpose, okay, if we come back in life to serve a purpose, the purpose is to live in joy, period. The purpose is adventure, period. What you do to find adventure, what kind of adventures you like or want to avoid, you decide that. That's your purpose. It is not about a niche or a role or a service that you're supposed to provide. That would be so limiting. What if you love numbers, but your purpose was the arts? But you want to be an engineer, but you're supposed to now, but you're thinking about engineering, but no, you have to be an artist. It's like the concept of purpose as it is typically understood is entirely limiting. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't things you're going to be better at than other things given your prior life experiences. And those are the things you'll ask, well, how do I know what they are? They're the things you love. They're the things you want to love. They're the things that you are good at naturally. That's the stuff from the prior life, that you are free to use those tools or kick them to the curbside and develop new ones this lifetime. You're not supposed to remember your purpose because there is not the kind of purpose that you're asking about, other than just be you. That's your purpose. And you can't not be you, therefore you can't not find your purpose. But if you think your purpose is, should I be feeding the homeless or developing high-tech gizmos to make humanity live easier, that presumes that one of the answers is wrong. There's no wrong answer. So thank you for that great question. Let me answer another question. I am thinking it is that everyone creates their own, but I am wondering if there is a, but I always do this component that is good to know. Really, Elaine, I don't quite get that question. I'm thinking it is that everyone creates their own, but I'm wondering if there is a, but I always do this component that is good to know. Well, only use that phrase, I always do this, when awesome things happen in your life. And that can then be a component in creating a rocking life going forward. Anonymous viewer, I have been interrupted 35 times since 6 p.m. Can I watch the recording later? Yeah. Last question. Can I affect someone else at a distance with my thoughts who professes to be an atheist? Yes, if they let you. And you can do it silently in thought or prayer with exclamation points. You can influence other people, but they have to let you do that, because just as you want to be untouchable by others who wish to influence you, so must they be untouchable. Well, I have burned up 43 minutes, and let me see here. I want to give you a little tiny, I'll just do this from memory, a little exercise here, okay? Closing exercise, kind of a meditation. I want you right now to hold out your hand like I'm doing and close your eyes and follow along. It's a very short little exercise that just came to me yesterday because I'm a channel. All right, close your eyes, and I want, with your inner vision, to see. Now put that palm in front of you in a comfortable way. So it's very comfortable. Left or right hand doesn't matter. I want you to see spinning in the palm of your hand a small little marble size, like a child's toy marble, no more with a diameter of maybe a penny or a nickel, spinning, hovering, levitating in the palm of your hand. And it's spinning in slow motion. Well, not slow, but you can see it spinning just as the Earth spins. And this little marble is planet Earth. You are looking at this very Earth, but in miniature, spinning in the palm of your hand. Not spinning a zillion miles an hour, but you can actually see there goes Africa and Europe and South America, North America, Hawaii, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. I know I left that a lot out. But you're seeing it spin, and it's so blue. It's so blue. And then in the land, there's patches of green that are so springy green. And there's climate, there's clouds, there's white. Some are more dense than others. And you just watch this little beautiful marble spin. And you think to yourself, as I'm now helping you, that there are 100 million, according to some scientists, different species alive on this planet that's now spinning in the palm of your hand. There are elephants that are roaring, that have huge tusks, that weigh many tons. There are giraffes that are galloping across the Masai Mara. There are sea turtles, there are camels, there are horses, there are dogs, there are cats that number perhaps nearly 1 trillion conscious creatures are on this planet that's now spinning. You're looking at it, you're humbled, you have goosebumps. This is in the palm of your hand. There are people that are of the divine, by the divine, for the divine. Every single one of them is pure God. They don't know it, some are confused, some are running amok, and some are serving and helping and making the planet better. This is spinning in the palm of your hand. There are volcanoes, continents that are now sliding through plate tectonics ever so slowly. Blue whales at the bottom of the ocean, miles down. There are albatrosses flying from South America to Africa right now. Right now. There are microorganisms. There are cells. There's amoebas. This is spinning in the palm of your hand. I want you to be humbled by it. The enormity of it, yet it is spinning in the palm of your hand. What mind could have fathomed the details that made this possible? It is a miracle that it exists. It should not exist. We should not be here. It makes no sense to think that somehow where there was nothing, there is now divine intelligence blossoming as you and I in this world spinning in the palm of your hand. And I just want you to contemplate the wonder of planet Earth now spinning in the palm of your hand. I'm so excited about this. There are satellites. You can't really see them. They're so tiny, spinning around this. There are jumbo jets flying around it. There are kids giggling and laughing at playgrounds and swing sets. Doesn't it just almost break your heart? It's so beautiful. It didn't have to exist. And that it exists is not accidental. You are a co-creator of this bastion of perfection. And right now, to wrap this up, I want you to see this little ball, this sphere, this wondrous planet in your palm, hovering there, getting slowly bigger until the size that it's a golf ball size. It's continuing to grow. It's tennis ball size. It's continuing to grow. You don't have to hold it anymore. It's effortlessly got a consciousness of its own, fueled and inspired by the highest of high consciousness. It's getting bigger. It's like a bowling ball. It is getting bigger. It is like, it is filling up your room. It is larger than the building you're now in. It is spinning effortlessly with intention and purpose and love. It is spinning bigger than the city that you're in. It is continuing to grow even faster now, larger than the state and the country you're now in. It's continuing to get larger. And it will do so until it matches the very size of the earth you now sit upon. You may open your eyes and behold your creation. You are now inside that little ball, and you are held in the palm, metaphorically, of God's hand this very moment, poised for greatness, here to light a fire of excitement and joy in your life and in the lives of all that you know and will ever touch through the ripples that go on forever throughout eternity. I will try to be more punctual in future master classes. I've had a good time with this. Thank you all for being part of this. It is such an honor. And the recording will be available by this time tomorrow. Until then, tally ho, read chapter 2, and we'll talk about it and more tomorrow. Lots of love to all of you. Thanks for being part of this. Besos. Hasta luego. Abiento. Sayonara. Masalama. Where do I turn this off?